appreciate it, yes.
I don't need a megaphone.
Mhm. Yeah, I just asked, so we are live streaming as well for those folks who can't be here. That's the only reason why.
And yes, I live here in Lake Terra. I am on the HOA board as well as the Mud board. And my favorite of all Fort Bend County is the Road and Bridge.
There we go.
Because they actually respond to my emails about unpassable sidewalks. Yeah, I do like the library, but you know, I have access on my computer. But I really feel that Road and Bridge, they are not accredited or
They don't get enough credit. Yeah.
all the services that they do.
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate it. My hat goes off to Darren McKiska and Warren and Rick Stagel. And also I want to thank you, Dexter, for the 40,000 or 50,000 that y'all threw in for the papers whenever they're going to be fixed.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely.
So thank you so much. We'll talk about playgrounds in a little bit.
Sounds good. Yep. All right, who's next? We've got some more folks in the back. I think you might have accidentally turned it off. I'm going to just press the button. Yeah.
They turned me off.
There we go.
Dennis Penninger, I live here in Terra, right across the street, and just based, I'm on the board here, a former Mud board member. So I'm interested in roads, transportation issues, and any way to make things better. Glad to hear it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. I'm David. I'm with the HOA here in Terra. So my favorite part of Fort Bend County is the roads, and the responsiveness of the government. Like email or call and something to get us taken care of.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you. Funmi?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Felix. I'm the fifth floor bench coordinator for Greensboro and Commissioner based on Coast Office. My favorite part of the Fort Bend will be the Parks and Rec because we encourage physical activity, healthy sound mind, basically wellness and fitness.
My name is Daniel Vasquez. I do communications for the Commissioner's Office. My favorite kind of service is public health because if you're not safe and healthy and mentally healthy, you can't be productive.
Great. Great. And we had, go ahead.
My name is Chris Ike. I'm a digital specialist for Mr. McCoy. My favorite, I would say, would be public health.
Awesome. Great.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner. My name is Sean Lee. I'm actually a local mine director from Mine 35. I'm living in Second Village for like 20 years on the street. I work out at the Terra 24-hour fitness since opened up back in the day. So I am here. I go to this every day. It's a part of the community. Thank you for having me. I'm running for county clerk. I'm here to support and listen to commissioners' proposals about this community, see what, as a clerk, what I have to do, also learn and do the better job for all of you. That's all. Thank you so much.
Your favorite county service?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sorry, repeat it.
No, the actual service that the county provides.
Oh, yeah.
What
So
was your
the
favorite?
county clerk is a very, very important.
No. What is your favorite county service that the county provides? Or it could be the county clerk's office. Yeah.
Actually, the roads and transportation, the property taxes we pay, make sure this, our whole infrastructure works well in the county. This is so important to me, right? So this is why I'm here to have better efficiency, more mobility projects to make sure our transportation keep going. We can grow as a county. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much. We do have more seats if y'all want to sit, but if you want to stand, all good too. Oh, we have one more friend walking in, and the lucky winner is, hello, welcome, come on in. So we just finished introductions. If you'd like to introduce yourself, you're welcome to. No? All good. Okay. Well, so People's Budget Town Hall. This is now our third cycle doing this. It is my belief that we can't make a budget for you without you, and it's been really keen for me and my team to be on the ground with you, our neighbors, to really help understand what some of the needs are. This is now our 36th town hall in the last 3 years. We have been really eager about getting out on the ground. Again, we can only do as good as you tell us that we're doing, and you help us to support your needs. And so we started the People's Budget Town Hall series two years ago now, and as a means of getting feedback directly from you on some of the budget priorities. We're getting ready to start planning for our FY27 budget, and I'll tell you a little bit about the timeline for when that takes effect. But the feedback that you all give us today is going to help us to build that budget. We'll provide the feedback to our department heads and ask that they build priorities around what you tell us today. So let's talk a little bit about, is this on? Yeah. This like never, it did change. Okay, so essentially what we are doing through the people's budget. One, this is how we define your budget priorities, what our community tells us our priorities. You give us your feedback, and this is a way for us to talk a little bit about what the county does, so you'll learn a little bit more about our responsibilities. This is a process that you will lead. I'm going to do a brief presentation here, and then we're going to break out into breakout groups, and then you're going to lead discussions and the process. And this is an opportunity for us to understand a little bit more about your needs. This creates an accountability framework. So you've come here today, you give your feedback, and then if you don't hear us discussing those things, that's an avenue for you to hold us accountable to making sure that we're actually delivering on the priorities that you set. But then also, this is critical for us to get data, research. This is an opportunity for us to get real quantitative and qualitative data that we can share back with my colleagues on Commissioner's Court and that we can share with the broader community. Just a little bit about what the county is responsible for. So we have over 1,000 law enforcement personnel that staff our county jail, the deputies that are out on the streets from the sheriff's office, our constable deputies, fire marshals. There are over 1,000 personnel in law enforcement and in our jails, in courts administration. We are responsible for maintaining over 2,700 miles of county roadway. That's really important to note because that's a lot of roads, a lot of potholes we have to fix. That's a lot of roads we resurface and reconstruct all throughout Fort Bend County. We have our drainage district. We do inspections for new businesses that are coming online or for new neighborhoods that are being developed, libraries, parks. Mr. Halim talked about records. That's what the county clerk does and our district clerk. Elections, public health, emergency management, toll roads, social services, animal services, and there are a whole lot more. We have 85 executive managers in Fort Bend County, executive departments, and then a whole bunch of sub-departments from there. And so what you provide in tax dollars, it goes to fund all of these services. The one thing that I will mention is that we here in this area, we live in unincorporated parts of the county. We're not served by a city. The state has changed annexation authorities for cities, and so by and large, all this area is going to remain in cities. And so we still expect city-like services, and so through the MUD, we get our water services and trash pickup. Through the county, we get emergency medical services, or I'm not sure if this area, and then, yeah, y'all are a part of ESD 100, I believe, right? So also fire protection and things like that. Though we have to find ways to provide those services, knowing now cities will not be providing those services. So also very important to note that. All right. And so what we learned from the process in 2025, some of the feedback we got. And I'll point this out back on the previous slide. Let's see if it'll go. Maybe we need to buy a new one of these. This keeps happening. All right. Yep, that didn't quite work out. Okay. I just wanted to point out your commissioner actually gets out and works. I don't sit in an office. This picture right here in the lower left-hand corner, I took that. That was at 3 a.m. when they were doing concrete, the last major pour for Richmond Parkway that's over by the Justice Center. We just opened that road. That was a headache. but out there with our crews, making sure that the job is getting done. We are on the ground, and our team has been on the ground to really make sure that we're getting the job done for you. All right, so some of the things we learned from the process for last year's process in 2025, we heard a lot of things that you wanted to see. There was a lot of feedback about more parks and better parks and recreational facilities. And we heard a lot about not enough spaces for seniors to be active and engaged. And so we're building a senior center over in Mission Bend. We're set to break ground on that, I believe, later are we still in January? Yes, tomorrow's February 1st. Later in February, we'll be breaking ground on that. This will be a 24,000 square foot facility that'll have event space for checking out if you want to have events, indoor natatorium for aquatic activities, a workout facility, a cafe, and then the central feature will be a community garden. We're all about healthy eating, and so people can check out a raised bed. We'll have a demonstration kitchen in partnership with Texas AgriLife Extension, so we'll teach folks how to cook healthy meals there, and then a walking trail will be there as well. Also, we'll have our second bicycle library located there. We have adult tricycles that we've purchased, and those are available for checkout to ride along the trails around Four Corners Park and Recreation Center, and this will now be our second one, and so I'm really excited about that. But we've done a whole lot more on that. We heard about the need for more law enforcement officers, not seeing enough presence from our sheriff's department, so we had an historic increase in pay and salaries for law enforcement. We still have a long way to go because we're competing with other law enforcement agencies, so that's always a moving target, but we did that, and we also got more EMS out on the roads because, again, we heard about health and wellness and emergency response time, so we got a few more trucks, ambulances out on the roads with more medics. So that came from some of the feedback we got from the last two sessions that we've had on this for the budget. So let's just talk about how the county gets our revenue streams. So we all pay taxes, and we pay taxes to a whole bunch of different entities. One, the revenue we get from the federal government, that are federal income tax. Of course, you know we pay income tax here in Texas, but the income tax we do pay goes to the federal government. So the state has a whole bunch of revenue sources. And by the way, on the federal level, we get some of those taxes back in the form of grants that we receive to help with drainage or mobility projects. If all goes well, and I haven't gotten an update on where the Senate is, but if the Senate passes their budget bill, I mean, this is late breaking, we're going to receive $2 million in funding for that senior center. Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher was able to get a community-funded project in for us, and if the president signs the budget bill, then we are set to get $2 million back. Again, we get those, that comes from the income tax that we pay to the federal government. The state has a whole bunch of revenue sources. They collect sales tax, oil and gas royalties, gas tax, utilities tax, car registration fees go to the state government, franchise tax, the kind of sin taxes, liquor, tobacco, lottery, and our court costs. When we pay court fees, those go up to the state government. And then the county, the only revenue source that we have to fund our government is property taxes. And in some limited cases, like what we're able to draw on to help with the pavers in this neighborhood, we collect sales tax revenue in districts called county assistance districts. And so where the state collects 6.25% into the sales tax, we're able to keep 2% of the 8.25% in sales tax we pay to go back into infrastructure right here in our local government. But I want y'all to pay special attention. The state government has all of those funding streams, and the county government only relies on one, and in some areas, two funding streams to be able to provide you to provide you resources. So just again, this is just a kind of map on when we pay our taxes, where it goes. Do we know what's the largest part of your property tax bill? Anyone? School districts. That's the largest part of the pie. school districts. What's second to that? Often it's your MUD, or folks who live in a city, it's your city. Taxes are usually the second highest. And then if you live in a lid, that's on there. But your county is usually your third or fourth largest entity that you pay taxes to, but you get a whole lot of services from that. But again, when you pay your property taxes, that goes to the tax assessor collector, and the tax assessor collector distributes it to all the governmental entities. And so when we get the appraisal, so our job as commissioners is to set the property tax rate. We set the property tax rate, and then that we assess for the county. Then the appraisal district actually is the one responsible for setting your appraised value. They're a state entity. They are not, even though they're called the Fort Bend Central Appraisal District, not associated directly with the county at all. But they set the appraised value, and so the tax rate times your appraised value, or your appraised value times your tax rate, is essentially what we get for the revenue that comes into the county from your property taxes. Just to note, we've been good stewards of your money. Fort Bend County, year before last, achieved a AAA bond rating, which is really big. That's the highest credit score you can get as a governmental entity, which means it's cheaper for us to fund things like mobility projects, to build parks and recreational facilities, but it's a testament of being good stewards of your tax dollars. And not every governmental entity is able to achieve AAA bond rating. So let's just talk about the budget. And then after I do this slide, I promise we're gonna now get into more action here. So the county budget is broken down into 5 key areas, and you can see that on the slides that y'all have in front of you. But it's health, community resources, social services, infrastructure, court system support, and law enforcement / probation. And you can kind of see what are the things that fall within those categories, all the subcategories. And this is how the budget is broken down into all of those areas to be able to provide services. So we actually do provide ambulance services in Fort Bend County, in everywhere except for in the city of Sugar Land. They have their own EMS. But for everybody else, the ambulances that come, those are Fort Bend County ambulances. We have our health department, our medical examiner's office. We actually have an award-winning a medical examiner's office. I have never been. I probably never will go to the medical examiner's office, but folks travel all across the state to see our facilities and also how we operate that. We actually have a lot of other counties that send their bodies here because they don't have their own ME's office, and we get revenue from that when that happens. So really, really great shining star for us. We do have social services and our emergency management, that's kind of community resources, social services, road and bridge, that one that several of y'all talked about, that's under infrastructure, drainage, transportation, and engineering. Here I will note that we'll talk a little bit about how the money was spent in this last budget and how it was broken down, but key to note, what we're talking about is what comes from our general fund. What's covered in our general fund. What's not included in that is how much is spent on roads from our bond funds. That's a separate pool, and so that is not representative of our discussion today. But court systems and law enforcement, those are big operations of parts of our budget, and we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into the budget, but this is just helpful for your understanding on the breakdown. All right, so I'm gonna pause here, and I have my facilitators, Ali and Mercy. They're gonna be in 2 groups. Should we do it all in one group? Okay, we're doing one group because of our size today, and they'll explain what we're getting ready to do.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, this is the fun part of the activity. We're gonna keep this screen up here just as a reference, and we're all gonna gather, let's go at that table over there, and everyone's gonna participate. So here's what I want you guys to do when we first get there. There's gonna be a piece of paper there that says, what do you think you need for Fort Bend County to thrive and be safe? So I want you, before we even engage in the activity, to take a minute to talk about what we talked about at the beginning. What do you look for in a community to make this successful? What are you looking for that you really think that you rely on the government to help make you feel safe and thriving? So we have some pens back there, and then what we're gonna do, just to give you an agenda, is we're gonna do the activity. Y'all collectively are gonna We're going to talk through this together at each stage. So this is, I'll just tell you, we've been doing this for a couple years now. Lots of people love doing this. I think we always have great conversations. And we really do take your conversations and feedback to heart. So please be as honest, open. We're here because we want to hear what you say. So please, let's gather over here behind at this table, and we'll start this process. Yes, ma'am. Oh, right over here. Everyone's gonna be over here. We have enough people that I think we can do it with one table. Yes. Do you need a chair, or are you gonna be okay?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. If you need a chair, we'll pull some over. No big deal. Yes.
We're going to, of course, have as part of this discussion, and when we get back to talking a little bit more about specifics.
I'm gonna give you food for thought, okay? We are so. We have a senior center, there's a lot of wonderful things that the county is doing that don't affect us at all. Okay, that's the concern. We're glad that there's a new senior center, there's all this, the agri-life, I support agri-life, okay? But we need, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, that's what I want to know. I'm so glad everybody's got something, but it's like, we're forgotten about here. I mean, ask Lauren Haskell, how many times I've had to write them, you know, over the years, not just this month. So, but anyway, that's our, to me, that's our concern. And I will put that down there. Yeah, no, for
So the first thing is for you to note on this sheet, if you were to just big pie in the sky thinking, what does a community need to be safe and thriving? Whatever that means to you. This is like a brain dump. And we're going to actually collect this from you. And this is kind of that qualitative data that
So I can get 8.
So if you know, in the past, we've seen some folks say that we need robust parks and recreational system, our businesses are needed in a community to be safe and thriving. Whatever that means.
Let's move this a little bit over.
Take a few moments to write that down, and then we'll talk about it.
I think these are the 2 extra if we have 8. Okay. I think I got it. Yeah. Hey, he might be watching Law and Order. I don't know.
What do you want us to do with our Christmas list?
No, we're going to talk about it. So we're just waiting until everyone puts in their comments. And if y'all want to come over here, we're going to all gather around the table for the activity anyway. So it might be easier to hear everyone. So these are for, well, we'll talk, I'll get into this. Is everyone done writing their comments?
Oh, okay.
All right, we're gonna start, I'll start over here. Do you wanna tell us, Haley, what you think is what would make Fort Bend County safe and thriving for you?
So I spoke earlier, one of my favorite things was about, mobility, and I love the libraries and the parks, but I feel like something that's kind of left behind is some of the health services and environmental services as well. We don't have any regulated air monitoring here in Fort Bend County, and so we do have some very large polluters in the area that I think if we had some more show people what is in the air, and then water testing as well. So air monitors and water testing are 2 really big things for myself.
Wonderful. And we also like this because this gives us an opportunity to hear your concerns and sometimes, like what you mentioned, there's stuff that we are actually doing in the county to address your concerns. So I'll double back on that near the end, but I appreciate you sharing that. Do you want to tell us what you think we need for?
For me, what I see is that we have a lot of multi-units that are coming up.
Mhm.
And we know that those multi-units will not always be the nice units, and I think they're going to bring down eventually our neighborhood
Mhm.
in the long term.
Okay. There's fascinating data on that we'll touch on.
I know Sugarland has been able to decrease the number of multi-units that are in their area.
They're actually increasing. They're doubling.
Now
Yeah.
they are, but
Mhm.
at one time they did not.
Yep. That's true.
And I think for us and for our safety, like I'm single here in this neighborhood and I feel very safe, so I have nothing to say about that because
Mhm.
I speak to our police that go through our neighborhood. But I think that is a big concern for me.
Oh, absolutely. All
Because
right.
we have them coming around everywhere and they're not always going to be nice. And I know
Sure.
that a lot of them are offering Section 8.
Okay. You know, yes, sir. What do you need? What are you looking for to make this community safe and thriving?
Roads well maintained,
Mhm.
paved and potholes covered, and our paper stick in the community. Emergency services, I believe we're supposed to have a new, housing here, not housing, again, houses, but a new fire station or something in Lake Terra. When is that going to come to fruition?
Okay.
Or is it already there and I just don't know it?
The land's there, we just,
Yeah.
yeah, they keep promising, they keep moving it up a year.
And y'all are in ESC 100,
No.
or is it what?
Well,
Been,
precinct 4.
district.
Wait a minute, I can't think of the number,
Yeah.
dang, I can't.
It's Emergency Services District 100.
100? Okay.
Yeah.
So we can check in to see what the status is on the fire station. So like up there, it said mud lids. Another special district that overlays, in case this wasn't confusing enough, is an emergency service district. So they are their own governing entity, just like the county is its own jurisdiction, the mud is its own taxing jurisdiction. Your ESD is also one of those separate entities. They have their own board, they make their own decisions. Of course, we work with them through our fire marshal's office to provide those emergency coordination services. But we would have to double check with that entity to get an answer on when that fire station. But we'll look into it and double check. But thank you for it. Anything else? All right. Wonderful. Yes.
I didn't come prepared for anything other than to look at what's going on. Overall, Fort Wayne County provides quite a bit. My chief thing about the mobility and stuff, they're doing it, but they don't finish. They always leave. It's like 99 going towards the Grand Park.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those barrels are still there. Why don't we have those 3 lanes that we've been waiting for years for?
Okay.
Still there.
And we'll.
Barriers they put up, those little wire things, they're worthless.
Mm-hmm.
If a car goes through it, they don't really stop people very far. Put the concrete barriers or those kinds of things up there so that we can get it. Even down on the roads along 99. We're still waiting for a piece of sidewalk that floods. Now, there's wires in there, but you still have, and this is where the kids cross it, the St. Lawrence Boulevard and 99.
Mm.
He's just finishing that.
Well, we appreciate that.
Definitely mark that down and pass that along to our partners in Precinct 1. I will admit ignorance, we're not as familiar with that since that's in Precinct 1, but we would definitely, and I'm glad you came here, because we can collect it and we'll definitely follow up with Road and Bridge and the Precinct 1 office to see if that. But if you could give us exact intersections after this, Lauren will follow up on that.
But it's just, that happens all over the place, and we always leave
It's right here.
piles of stuff.
It's right here, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, right here, Bel Air and 99. They started the 3rd lane and nothing has happened.
Yeah.
They still have the cones right there.
They're
And
making
then
it a
on,
3rd lane. Yeah.
exactly, there is none. On Mason and 99, it's the exact feedback right there. They said it was supposed to be a 3rd lane. They've moved everything. They redid the road, but the road is still disrupted for months, the traffic, and then nothing was ever put there.
Okay.
Still the same lanes.
We'll definitely take a look at that one. I'll get.
Yes.
What do you think the community needs to be safe and thriving?
Well, there's two things on this thing, safe and thriving.
Mm-hmm.
The thriving of a society that doesn't happen without economic income. As a businessman, I can tell you that I've looked at the other models of other counties in other states. I've studied economic prosperity. Everything starts with economics. The economy of the county people do well, we all do well. So my concern and my advice to the next county judge would be, think of like a CEO and a business of the county, because you are that executive officer. And executive officer not only responsible for the infrastructure and the management and the roads and highways, also need to think of an economic engine, how we build the economic prosperities for all. That doesn't include college education. So I'm always, because not everyone can go to college, not everyone can afford a college tuition. The time is too long. The parents need money today. So there are 2 to 3 years period. A kid can be trained in vocational training, welding, plumbing, electrical, just therapists. We need those, I would highly recommend in putting your plan, Mr. Commissioner, to have 4 zones, the 4 precincts. Each precinct will have at least 500 students, facilities for education. And this is something we needed to invest in. Like, so students and young people can look at not just the private get those education, but county facility where through the private and public funding together, the federal money create jobs. And that is something could be innovative and the money stays here, the local people work here, that way they don't have to drive too far, and county actually has a pretty good infrastructure to do so. So I would like to recommend, and that your team can spend some time looking at quite simple things that I've done with a lot of economic advice to law in the city of Eastern. I've done a lot of plans and they actually implement some of the plans. So I would highly recommend, please complete the plan. Not only infrastructure, but how do we economically thrive as a citizens of the county? It is so important.
Sure. I'm going to keep this moving because I want to keep us going. Okay. So economic development, I will let Commission.
I'm running for county clerk's office. It's also
So I'll let Commissioner talk about economic development at the end and what's kind of happening big picture, because I know he's very involved in everything from workforce training to coming. Yes, Ms. Jeanette?
Jeanette, yeah.
Yes.
First of all, just let y'all know, for the record, we are under Fort Bend County ESD number 4.
4, okay.
We're under Fulshire, Simonton. I forgot about this word Simonton.
Gotcha.
So we're not with, that's ours. And it says we are still looking at 2027, 2028 for our fire station to begin. Y'all know where the tank farm is, the water tank farm over here on Katy Gas?
Oh, yeah.
Across the street.
Gotcha.
There's 3 acres there that Westlake Academy sold to to the, and that's where our fire station's gonna be. Yay, someday, okay. Now, yay,
No, that's helpful.
I write them too.
No, that's
Lauren,
helpful.
I write them too, okay? All right, and the person I talked with last was Brandy Crone. C-R-O-N-E. Everybody knows each other, okay. Again, for us, I am looking more, especially for our area, I would like, where we can, pocket parks.
Mm-hmm.
They're county land, even though they're an HOA, they're still part of the county, okay, where they're at. And I'm looking for, and I'm talking about for 3 to 10-year-olds, not Schlittermans. You know, I mean, like a pocket park, yeah, you know what they are, okay?
Commissioner and I talk about pocket parks. We both have 3-year-olds, so we think about that a lot.
It's so important, and just to let you know for sure, we're getting younger and younger in our community.
Mm-hmm.
People are selling out, and we are, the people that are moving in are younger and younger and younger. And those are just little places where you can put one.
Yes, ma'am.
Not yet, okay? Road and bridge maintenance, it's always gonna be maintenance, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a pothole, here, there, and everywhere, okay? And then the northern end of Fort Bend County Patrol, Constable Sheriff, there's getting to be a growing more need for, some type of regulation for stopping the e-mode transportation, the electric scooters, electric bikes, everything.
Okay.
They call that they call that e-mode transportation.
Mhm.
And the kids are going wild. And I mean, they're having fun.
Chronicle about that this week.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard, hey, we have it here.
Sorry, I want to make sure that we all get in and out, especially because I found out the bathroom isn't working at the moment, so I want to make.
I'm done, thank you.
No worries. Nicole, if you want to tell us what. Together, wonderful.
Okay, so for ours, something as basic as sidewalks near schools.
Yep.
Public schools. It's a safety hazard for children to be able to be crossing the street with no sidewalk. That's huge. Public transportation would also be great. It would be something that, Fort Bend County desperately needs. We have to cut down traffic. And then also all-inclusive parks. To this resident's point about having, these pocket parks.
Yep.
All-inclusive parks on our side. I know we have something, near the Missouri City area.
There's one happy to be getting built, or just got built, I think, on the north side in Katy. Oh, being built, yeah.
There's nothing here.
Yep.
Around here for us.
Absolutely.
Those are my three things.
Wonderful. All right, so if everyone, yes, ma'am.
One thing is, just to throw it in here,
Sure.
that all of these are great, but don't forget the library.
Oh, no worries.
Because it's a resource and it's sometimes I don't think we all use it.
It's-
Not only do you have online digital things, but there's so many programs, services, educational training. If you have a skill and you want to teach it, talk to the librarians and see what they can do as far as having a program.
It's a great segue to this
Yeah.
game that we're about to play.
So if everyone who is going to participate can please step forward. I just want to count. I'm going to spread tokens evenly. So here's what we're about to do. I'm about to say our county budget is a nice even $100. I'm going to give each of y'all individually your even share as a community to help us create a budget. Y'all see the 5 big categories up there. If y'all could just step forward here so I can hand everyone their tokens. Yeah. So I'm going to give 10 to start out with and then see if we need anything more. Here we go. I think I can share. There you go. Oh, good. No. I need. Come on in. All right. So I have 8.
Yeah, they do, they feel counted.
All right. So if y'all, Shaw, why don't you come up here? You've never participated. Let's give you an extra.
Was that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What am I doing, brother?
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give everyone one more, just so we're even. Here you go.
I got what?
There we go. Yeah. All right. And I'm going to do the first one myself, just to show everyone. All right. What we're going to do to start with is I want everyone to take one coin. This is your first dollar. So y'all collectively are going to be building what is effectively our community budget based on these 5 broad categories, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to put, if you had to put your first dollar, the first dollar of investment into any of those county services that we talked about that are all so very important in their own ways, which dollar, which bucket would you want the county to make its initial investment in? Would you want to make it in health, in the community social resources and social services, in infrastructure, like our roads and bridges, our court system, like our courts itself, or in law enforcement and probation? So if you had to make your first dollar investment as a community, where would you want to put your first dollar? Just place one wherever you'd like.
And just $1.
Just $1. I'm just going to put 1. There we go.
The rest of the.
Just put 1. This is always fascinating. Someone, okay, thank you, Annie. She's going to make the count for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we got 10 down. That should be correct. So very interesting, and I think we're just going to go very quickly because I know we're behind right now. Tell us where you put your first dollar and why. What was the impetus for you saying this is your highest priority? This is where I want to put my first dollar.
Well, and I'd love to point out that everyone, or most people who talk, emphasize the importance of infrastructure, but it has the second to least amount of first dollar priority.
Right. So, but this is why we want to have the conversation. So I'm going to start over here with Greg. Where did you put your first dollar and why? Health?
We value that the most.
Okay. Nicole? Infrastructure, okay? Shaw?
Man, it's wealth is wealth.
Okay. Health? And was there a specific part of health that you wanted to focus?
I just think general health
All
and
right.
education and understanding and that whole thing.
Perfect. Sir? Same reason?
Yeah, maybe mental health and,
Mm-hmm.
mental health.
Yes, sir. Ma'am?
I did social services.
Okay. Any reason?
I just think the foundation is the people.
Wonderful.
I did some,
Why?
especially for juveniles and everything. I think that we need to be much more stronger in how we support them.
Okay, so especially speedy justice, but really when we're talking about our kids, we want to make sure we have a system that benefits them as well. Okay?
I did law enforcement because of all of the budget, law enforcement touches more people.
Okay.
So that's why I put that one first, even though it was a toss-up.
Hey,
That infrastructure.
I think you know where we're going with
Yeah,
this.
you know that.
Yes, yeah, I know. Haley?
I put health. We need healthy people for a healthy county.
Wonderful. All right. So once again, our priority, we say health over half, actually half of our initial dollars went to health first. Very interesting. All right. Here's the next part. I'll tell you to do it a little quickly. You can kind of watch each other. But now, y'all collectively are going to put your other 8 tokens down. And I want you to, or 9, whatever you have, spread them across. And this is going to be, if we had a $100 budget, this is how you collectively as a community are telling us this is where you want to invest. So put as many as you want in one place. You can put 1 here, 1 there, 2 there. It's all up to you.
Or all of yours in one.
One, it's all up to you. We're going to look at this as a community when everyone is done. So go ahead and start placing.
And yeah, there's the buckets with.
Yep, and the buckets are up there if you have any questions about which departments tend to go in them. Or in your slide. So remember, the county doesn't actually, the school district is a separate taxing entity from the county.
Community resources.
Yes.
I would say here with social services and outreach, a lot of that falls in the right.
And that's also where our libraries are, would be in
Yes.
community services here. So that's usually the education piece.
I stuck mine in a pile. Spread them out.
No problem. All right. All right. I'm going to start putting these in files.
Yes.
Can I
To
make
make
a
it easy to
comment now?
count.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead.
I just wanted to say that about health and education. I'm disabled, but I am a double PhD in health education. So health education is very important to me, but I'm also married to a family physician. And physicians are where.
You're fine. I'm just
family
putting.
physician is
All
where
right, we're
most
good.
people should get their education.
No problem.
To
Y'all
count on
do.
the county for services, but we can get that from your doctors,
No problem.
not the ones that listen to RFK.
No worries. Oh, that's 4. Gotcha. Thank you. All right. I think we got everyone's down. So I'm going to read out the collective numbers. It looks like the least important, not least important, I should say, the smallest amount of investment collectively we made here was our court system support. So our court system, our district courts, JP, with $14, it looks like. With law enforcement, we did a slightly more investment with $15. Our health came out to $23. Community resources was $22. And infrastructure was $26. So very interesting. Let's take a look. Oh,
That's pretty good.
that's pretty good. It's a pretty good split, actually. So as a community, I think it sounds like we made the largest investment in infrastructure, which from our conversation makes sense. We all value good roads, make sure there's no flooding, how we get to places is pretty important for why we think this community is thriving. Interestingly, I think with 23, our health, a lot of emphasis. I'll take a moment here to once again shout out Funmi. She is our Fit Fort Bend coordinator who coordinates a lot of our health and wellness activities that we're trying to promote here in Fort Bend County. So I'm just going to shout her out. Community resources was at $22. So this is everything from our social services, community development, veteran services, emergency management, parks and recreation, library, fire marshal. So a really good chunk here. Law enforcement, $15. And I always find this to be one of the most interesting things about this activity is everyone always talks about public safety. It's always one of the first things we talk about. But when it comes to how we actually would spend our dollars as a community, we recognize there are investments in all these other places we really want, sometimes even more than that as well. So I always find that fascinating. All right, here is now the tough part. How many of you are really happy with this? How many of you think, if it was just me, I think I would move some things a little bit to another place?
I'm happy.
You want to move something?
Yeah.
All right, so this is our community budget here. So everyone can make a proposal. If you want to move, where do you think we need more investment?
I still believe the court system, less infrastructure.
Okay, so how many more dollars would you switch from infrastructure to court system? 5. Ooh. All right. Here's the thing, though. You don't have to convince me. You have to convince your community. And guys, I know you're laughing about this, but this is actually how the budget works. Commissioner McCoy is one of 5 executive board members, the county judge and the 4 commissioners. They collectively have to negotiate and make those decisions about where the budget goes. And it's not always saying where it should go, because I think we can all agree that where investment needs to happen everywhere, where do we take it from? So right now on the table, we have a proposal to move $5 from infrastructure to court system. How many of you in the community would support that? No.
Can I tell you why?
Sure, convince them.
Well, it's because I believe that if we have all the streets and bridges and all that done good, but we don't have the youth taken care of in the criminal justice system, if the streets is not gonna do us any good, other than the society in which we're gonna move these people into our society, that's gonna make better individuals if they have the good, correct, and right presentation go to the court system.
All right. Well, let's treat this like they do on commissioner's court. You want 5, they say no. You want to offer a compromise? Do you want to do 3, 2? What do you think? Is anyone willing to be budged a little bit on moving some from infrastructure to court?
You know, I think choices are often based on how
Personal.
it affects you. Infrastructure we all deal with every day. The court systems are essential, and they offer a whole lot of stuff that we don't deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So we don't have a frame of reference so that our choices, because I don't want to hit the damn pothole one more time. But you don't understand how and what they and their families go through and the children's go through when they have to go through a court system and all that legal stuff. And then, you know, it's like we really need more money to education, to services that hit people. Then the infrastructure will all get taken care of. Somehow those will get taken care of.
So let me do this. If I move $1, do I have a majority in support to move $1 from here to court system?
I'm opposed to 1.
You would do 5.
I'm with 5.
All right, we'll see where my threshold is. All right, how many would do 1? All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, how many would do 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're still good. How many would do 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's still majority. How many would do 4? 1, 2. All right, I think that's our threshold. I'm going to move 3 by collective vote from our court system support here to, from infrastructure over here to court system support. Is there any other proposal of shifting this budget that anyone wants to propose to the community?
I say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you made a great point about the court. I think if you're looking at the amount of money that we have put towards infrastructure and based on what you just said as well, taking 5 from here still is not eliminating a lot of money from that pot. So I would take that 5 and put it here. just based on, especially what you said, because just because we don't have a direct correlation with the court system does not mean that it does not affect our community.
I think we all agree, but I only got votes for $3.
I'm just saying, I'll give you 5.
I understand. Is there any other shifts you would see? Anyone want to move more money to law enforcement? Anyone want to put more resources here in our library system that we all love? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to put more from health to law enforcement.
How many are you
My opinion.
proposing?
Oh, 4.
4. All right.
Because I'd like to get the kids, I don't want to get the kids in the court system.
All right. So,
stop them ahead of time.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So we got our community here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start. How many folks would support moving $1 of our collective $100 from health to law enforcement by a show of hands? 1. I got 1, 2. Looks like your motion has 3. Oh, 4. I got 4 out of 10. I'm sorry, ma'am, your motion has failed. And unfortunately, this is how it happens in court.
I guess I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
$1 from each of these and put them.
Ooh, the proposals, let's take a little bit from the $1 from each of the 4 other areas into law enforcement. Who would support that motion? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's majority. I think we can put that to the vote. All right.
How is supporting, are we like buying more judges? I mean, are we putting more benches out there?
So
What's the point of it?
So, that's great. So actually, yes, that's one of the things that we have done in Fort Bend County. So the Commissioners Court actually last month just approved a new Justice of the Peace Court because we have, and Justice of the Peace Courts handle things like evictions and traffic tickets. And we have a backlog in our JP courts that we don't see at our county courts or district courts. And actually, the state of Texas approved 2 new district courts for Fort Bend County, 1 family court and 1 general jurisdiction court, because we're growing so quickly. And so when they give us partial salaries for the judge, Commissioners Court now has to fund the court coordinator. They have to fund an additional attorney or 2. They have to fund other court staff, the court reporter. That is all coming out from the general fund. So that's how you make some additional investments. Absolutely. So, all right, any other proposals here? Otherwise, I'm going to take a final count, and Annie here is going to do it for me. Everyone good? All right, so it looks like we ended up with 19 in law enforcement. We ended up with 16 in court support system. We had 22 in health. We have 21 in community resources and social services. And then it looks like 22, it looks like, in infrastructure. All right. So we're going to, Commissioner's going to go back up and we're going to talk. I want to first say thank you to everyone for participating. And I will bring up some of the issues that we're actually working on and address some of the concerns you brought up throughout this activity. And yeah, so let me ask this question. How do you guys feel about this?
The process is what our country was built on. I can't tell you that about right now, but I can tell you that that's what the whole premise is the democracy. We all had a voice. People may not like the fact that I want more law enforcement, but again, that's my opinion, and you're not supposed to shoot me for that, okay? So anyway, there you go.
Yeah. Well, what I hope you take away from this is a couple things. One, it's all important, right? We really need investments throughout all of it, but the fiscal limitation is one of those concerns. And we'll talk a little bit more about the tax dollars and what those numbers look like. But also, it's understanding there's a compromise. It's not one person who's making these decisions behind the scenes. It's 5 people. And they have to deal with the reality of the fiscal situation, but also each other. And determining those priorities. So who you elect to these positions is critical in determining what those investments look like in the future. The other thing is, it's really hard to take money away from someone, right? Like, once you put it down, it's really hard to take it away because it's hard to get that consensus, but also because it's critical, right? There is some department, there is some service that is relying on those funds already. So I really appreciate all of you taking your time to be here today and participate, and I hope you take these lessons and kind of understand a little bit more and share with your friends and family. The other thing I'll mention is on the table, we have some paper surveys. There's also an online survey to do this activity on an individual level. So if you have friends who I want to always give my input onto what the county budget looks like, please encourage them to fill out the online survey, or you feel free to grab a couple paper surveys and try to get it back to us as well so we can get that data. Commissioner?
All right, so now y'all have participated in this budget making process, and you've given us feedback on what your budget would be. Now let's look at how that stacked up and compared to the actual county budget. All right, and are these pages in their packet too? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. All right, so, and we had a couple more friends join us. If y'all wouldn't mind introducing yourselves briefly so everyone knows. So just name what neighborhood you live in and your favorite county service.
I'm Cheryl Maris, and I live in West Oaks Village. I'm the HOA president. And why?
Favorite county service or most important county service to you?
Courts.
Courts. Okay. Okay. It's important. That's good. All right. Your name, neighborhood.
You're gonna make me do this.
Yeah. Now, hey, I gave you time to warm up. You're here.
My name is Leonette Dudley. I live right here in Terra. For me, I am a veteran, so I would say the veteran service.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for your service. All right.
Nicole Roberts, and I'm in Waterside Estates community, and for me, the most important was infrastructure.
I think it's off.
Sorry. No, it's on. No, it's on. It's on. It's not there. Just adjust it.
Service. The courts.
Courts. All right. Great. Awesome. Okay. So let's look at how we did. Can I have the form to see what was their budget? All right. Okay. So your first dollar, again, you know, I grew up in church, and they always tell us you give your first back to God. So that's like your most important sacred dollar, right? And let's see how y'all did. Y'all gave $50 to health, $5 to health, $1 to community resources, social services, $2 to infrastructure, $1 to court system support, and $1 to law enforcement. So by far, the most important thing to each of you as individuals seemed to be health. And then second to that was infrastructure. So when y'all actually got to making your budget and distributing all of your dollars, the first round, it was $23 to health, $22 to community resources, social services, $26 to infrastructure, $14 to court systems, and $15 to law enforcement. So your most important one at that point was infrastructure. So it shifted from health to infrastructure. And then your final budget, after y'all negotiated with each other, it looked like the top two tied, it was health and infrastructure. So kind of back to what y'all initially said your most important thing was. Then community resources, social services, then law enforcement and court system support. So let's look at how that compared to what the county actually did this year. So most important was law enforcement at $38. Second to that was court system support. And then after that was healthcare and infrastructure, then social services. So how do y'all feel seeing this as compared to what y'all put? Not happy? Why? You want to say more?
I just, because of our census here, law enforcement was not the top priority.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that infrastructure, social services at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, big difference. What else? What initial thoughts? Seems about right to you? Yeah.
I guess like seeing if the $38 is kind of like what we're seeing today. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm just like, what happens when we take away from that? Or again, like reprioritize what the community wants. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know what would happen if that money was taken away, but also just surprised.
Shocking.
We actually have one of the better ratios for law enforcement in the state of Texas. Most municipalities, over 50% of their budget actually goes to their
law enforcement. Yep.
And whatever it is. So us being under 40% is actually, we're doing much better. And a lot of it has to do with some of the reforms that we've done.
I'll get to that. So, yep.
Okay, just for clarification.
clarification, I just wanted to, that was approved for last year,
Mhm.
coming forth for this
No,
year.
it was what we are currently operating under. And I'll get to the budget. So our budget goes from October 1st to September 31st, 30th, September 30th. I didn't learn that song when I was in elementary school, so I've always gotten confused. Our next fiscal year, what we're getting ready to start building a budget for is what will start October 1st, 2026. That'll be fiscal year 27.
So that's what we're in right now.
Right, what we're in right now is fiscal year 26, and that's what this breakdown reflects. Yep. Okay, so let's talk about why this looks like this. So the state passes a lot. Our state legislature meets every other year, and and thank goodness it's only every other year because it's always a great deal of anxiety that comes out of that. But they pass laws that tell us what we're supposed to do. So the county is actually a entity of the state. We are a subdivision of the state, and we can only do what the state tells us we can, and we have to do what the state tells us we have to do. Cities, they have home rule authority, so they can make up ordinances for their municipality. So you talked about multifamily as a concern of yours. We cannot say this is a ratio and threshold because the state doesn't give us the ability to do that. Local property owners rule. So they want to build, a chop shop up the street on the corner here. If that's what they sell it for and they meet the drainage requirements, they can go for it. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Especially given the dynamics of changing annexation authorities. But I digress. Here, there's a lot of requirements that the state has put on what we're supposed to do in the area of law enforcement in terms of what happens in our county jail, staffing ratios for our county jail, the health care that's provided there. The state requires that we provide support to those folks, those mental health patients that really should be in a state facility, in a state bed, but the state has not provided enough capacity in their facilities. So then we as local taxpayers are responsible for providing those services. And that's a huge part of that. There are people in our jail who've been in there for quite a while, and their medication is costing you and I hundreds of dollars per day that they are there. And so it's a really big deal. So you see that. The other part of that is that competition that I talked about earlier that we are in with other law enforcement agencies to retain staff. That salaries are in there as well. And again, keeping in mind, there are over 1,000 law enforcement personnel in our county out of the 3,500 staff that we have countywide. And so that is kind of reflective in that. And so that kind of explains a little bit about why that is so much different than what you put in, you prioritize in that area. So the big thing that I talk about here often is unfunded mandates. So the state puts requirements on local governments, but does not send money to flow with that oftentimes. And so over 1/3 of our county budget goes to state mandates that they have not provided funding for. So this is also in some areas of social services and public health that the state requires that the county do perform certain functions, but have not provided money. So every session, new mandates are given to local governments and that puts new financial restrictions on us. And so you'll see after session has closed, they call it sine die. When they have gavelled out, then we get from our legislative consultants a briefing on what are all the new laws that came out and how is it going to impact you. Some of those things, it takes us months to be able to analyze and really get an understanding of it. But they closed out this session. When did they gavel out? Because they did a special session too. I want to say again? In June, right? And we adopt our county budget in our final county budget in September, late August, early September. So it doesn't give us a whole lot of time to prepare for what some of those things are, but we try and we have really good people who help, but there are a lot of things we have to go through there. So local property tax. So when they did, and this caused major confusion the last time, They changed some of our exemptions. They added new exemptions. They did this again this session as well. But they went so late with some of that work the last time that they were in session in 2023 that it caused some confusion. You got 2 tax bills that year because they had to reprint and resend it to you because there were so many changes that came out of the legislative session. And by law, we also have to provide you a tax bill by a certain date. So you see certain things like that. But we try to work as much as we can with our state representatives and our state senators so that they're aware of some of these things as they're making these decisions and can be sensitive towards some of that and work as partners with when these things are supposed to take effect, because not everything has to take immediate effect, and they have some leeway with that. So federal funds, we also receive a lot of requirements for things that we have to provide. Federal government provides some funds for that. And in some instances, like we've seen over the last year, some of those programs are being cut. We actually had to lay off folks in our Health and Human Services department because of the early termination of some grant funds. But all of the money kind of comes together to be able to, and we have to contend with, okay, what are we getting from the state? What are we getting from the federal government? And then what is that gap? And how do we make up that gap? And those are some of the discussions you see us having in Commissioner's Court around our funding. So this is just a chart that shows you what has been the trend line for our tax rate. And this is just going back since 2019. But you can see that tax rate, we've been lowering that every year. In 2020, going into FY25, we actually did a full penny reduction in the tax rate, which was a historic low. Usually it's a marginal decrease, but we did a whole penny tax rate reduction because we recognize what's going on in the economy. Now, I will say this, we are required by law, because we are a fast growth county, the revenue that the county collects from existing property, by state law, it cannot grow over 3.5% from one budget year to the next budget year. So for a county like ours that is growing so rapidly, it requires that we cut the tax rate every year. And so that's, yay, us pat ourselves on the back for lowering tax rate, but actually that's statutorily required in order for us to stay below that 3.5% cap. Now, we went above and beyond that last year because we recognized there was additional economic need in the community. So we lowered it even below that mandatory threshold. And this year, because our new growth, the pace of our new growth has decreased, we're not growing as fast as we used to. We elected to keep the tax rate the same, and we were able to legally do that because we were not over that 3.5% cap. We have really benefited from our new growth, really, really benefited. We've been able to expand services because we've grown so much. But as we've seen that growth dwindle, we're really going to have to contend with how we continue to provide even just the same level of service and maybe marginal increase in services when we don't have that same rapid growth that we've experienced over the last 15 years here in Fort Bend County. Yep.
Can we burst up the seams when we have so many people moving in and all that, then the tax rate doesn't change or anything? Can it come to a point where we are a screeching halt and it becomes a detriment for the whole county?
So,
Becomes strained?
yeah, so the question was just on, and I'm summarizing, is can we reach a point where we're in trouble, basically, because of, county busting at the seams and we have all these things that we have to provide? Yeah, that is a reality, that we could reach that point someday. Again, we are still growing. There's still a huge portion of Fort Bend County that is not developed. And I know there's a tension between how much our county develops versus not. But that new growth helps to fund all of the infrastructure improvements that are required. I'll give you a prime example. And sorry, I'm getting way in the weeds here. But some of our original master plan developments, like in the Mission Bend area, Town West, some places in Missouri City, that infrastructure. So the county used to just do asphalt roads and open ditches, and that's all the county maintained. If you talk to some older commissioners, they would tell you, no, county should only be doing asphalt roads and open ditches. Well, the problem is we have a bunch of roads that we're responsible for now that are concrete roads. And we're also building concrete roads, curb and gutter with sidewalks as our community rapidly urbanizes, because that's the expectation. When we moved here, that's what we expected. We don't want big open ditches like we're living out in the country, right? And so in Mission Bend, in Town West, that infrastructure is over 40 years old. It needs to be repaired and replaced. Responsible for that. We're responsible for that. And that's really expensive. But how are we able to afford tackling some of that? A lot of that new growth, the new neighborhoods, the revenue that comes from those new neighborhoods, their infrastructure is newer. They have MUDs that put the infrastructure in place, and it'll be a while before we have to repair and replace that. And so all that new revenue goes to helping some of the older areas. And it's a balance. And so, yeah, there will be a day when Fort Bend County perhaps stops growing. And we're in a predicament like Sugar Land is right now, where they're not growing and their population also is aging. And they're having to contend with, how do we pay for some of this, some of our infrastructure? And they're there now. Yeah, so it is an interesting thing. So I want to show this, because there's always a conversation about, well, you should lower the tax rate more than you do. Or you talk about lowering a tax rate, but my property taxes still go up. And that is the reality, right? And so let's talk a little bit about why. So one, I talked about appraised values that the Central Appraisal District sets. And I have all sorts of issues with our property tax system in the state of Texas, where even though you own your home, you're still having to pay for that. And you own your property, you're still having to pay for that, right? And I think about seniors who are on fixed incomes and they see their property value go up every year and are paying more in taxes. At a certain point, it reaches a point where they can't stay in their home. And that's a shame, because you work sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. That wasn't the point in this. But let's talk a little bit about what this looks like. So say in 2025, your taxable value for your property was $300,000. The tax rate for that year was 42 cents or 43 cents for every $100 in valuation of your house. Your tax bill would have been $1,279.50. And so that's what you pay to the county. In 2026, just assume that your property value went up 10%, right? The 10%, the threshold for your homestead exemption. If the tax rate were to stay the same, we didn't change the tax rate, your tax bill would have increased and gone up to $1,407.45. That means that the county would have collected an additional, just overall, and we're taking kind of the look at the whole county based on the average household and how many homes we have, that would have meant $60 million more in revenue for the county. So that means that's how we fund those additional medics and EMS and more staff in our court systems and all that stuff. It would have cost you an additional $127.95, right? But that means $60 million more to the county. Now, say you wanted not one single solitary penny more that you're paying in taxes to the county. Your 2020, so again, you're from 25 to 26, it went up just that 10%. And then that means our tax rate would have had to go down to 0.387. So 39 cents for every $100 in valuation. Your tax bill stays the exact same, doesn't change. It would have cost the county $60 million. And so we would have had to cut the budget by $60 million. So that gets into what service lines we cut, or which parks we delay improvements in, or areas where we have to reduce staffing to make up for that $60 million in revenue that we would have lost by lowering it so that you saw no increase, right? And so those are the kind of decisions we have to make. And we will probably reach a standpoint where we have to make that call about, okay, we're going to have to reduce staff because of what the economic situation is, or what our residents are requesting of us. But we like to show this to show you just how challenging these decisions are for members of court as we're trying to balance both affordability in the county as well as service delivery that you expect from us every day. So it's interesting, the negotiations I saw y'all doing of like, well, I think we should move money from here to there, and we take a vote, and if we get the majority vote and the rest of the members of the body decide, yes, that's where it goes, we do it. If we don't have consensus, we don't do it. And that's, again, the democracy, how our government works. But it's really, really interesting. And this has been eye-opening as me being in the seat to have to make the decision. You know, I used to work for Fort Bend ISD. I was a staffer for Fort Bend ISD. And we would always get frustrated. Man, the board should give us more money because we need more staff. We are struggling here. But now being in the seat, it's like, okay, that's a tough decision because these are real dollars for people, our taxpayers, and how do you make sure that you balance that? So any questions about this process? And then I'm gonna go, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, is there any collaboration? I understand that the school board receives, a majority of the revenue, right, from the taxpayers.
Yep.
But is there any collaboration between the Ministers for school board and the other entities that set the rate? Because I know the commissioners are one part of the rate.
Yeah.
But is there ever any collaboration or partnership or discussion?
No, that's a good point. No, there is not. There is not. There is not. Yeah. No, there isn't. And because, again, it goes back to that each of us is our own governmental entity, right? And we have to contend with the things that we have to provide and that you tell us that we're to provide to the community. We have a bunch. We actually need to get that number. How many in Fort Bend County alone independent governmental bodies there are that control tax revenue, right? So MUDs, LIDs, ESDs, PIDs, TERS, like there are a bunch of government, there's hundreds of them. Yeah, no, that's just MUDs. Yep. But that's a good point. And yeah, that's a fair point. Now, also recognize the enormity of the task for us to all try to convene with, and that's thousands and thousands of people that are just the elected bodies, right, across the whole county.
If you think about government as one body, right? You can't do anything without the brain. You can't move a leg. You can't do anything.
Yep.
To think that it's impossible, I think we all are defeating ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It can be possible.
Yeah.
It's just putting in the effort to do it.
And let me tell you how we do collaborate, right? So we do meetings from time to time. I'll go out and meet with our MUD boards, or talk about to the folks that are in my precinct about their needs, or they may reach out to us. For instance, the MUD board here had a need with some of the pavers that are broken in the neighborhood, and we recognize that you don't have all the revenue to just make this happen. And the county does have some revenue streams that we have discretion over. So let's partner on this project. Or it might be a road that needs to be repaired or a sidewalk that needs to be improved, where it's taking the burden off of the HOA that has a smaller pool of resources. And we are kind of sharing responsibility. The same happens with the county and the state. Prime example, we partner with the Texas Department of Transportation often because they have way more money than the county does. And they're responsible, and so we can partner on some of our FM roads. At 99 and 90, if y'all ever go to that intersection, you see there's a lot of construction happening there right now, right? So in order for us to incentivize a state investing in that, because we know when it floods, heavy rain floods, during Harvey, that whole intersection flooded. And it's a big problem. But that's not necessarily a priority for the state. So we contributed towards designing that roadway, taking care of all the pre-engineering, and we asked the state to build it for us. And they did. And so that's the sorts of partnerships we do with different governmental entities. But you're right. It's something that perhaps we need to figure out how we do in coordinating with all these governmental bodies to say, hey, if affordability is a major issue for our community, how can each of us play our role in lessening the burden? That's a good point. It's the first time I've heard that. And I hate admitting that. That's good. But that's very good. That's also why these are, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I know together we'll figure it out. But that's a good point. Yep. So, all right, the timing. They're giving me the signal. Yes, so let's talk about the process. And were there any other questions? All right, so let's talk about the process of developing the budget. So right now, the budget office is setting policies for our next budget year. They're starting to do individual meetings with each member of court. There are 5 of us that make up Commissioners Court, the 4 commissioners and the county judge. And so the budget office is having meetings to kind of ascertain our priorities for the budget. That's why this feedback is important, so that I can give them real data on what the priorities for Precinct 4 are. We set the calendar for the budget process in last Commissioner's Court. And so during this January, February timeframe, that's what's happening. Starting in March, budget requests are starting to come in. And so the department heads will start saying, hey, we need more staff, or we need to buy more widgets, or resources like that. That'll happen March through May. We'll start getting recommended budgets in June. They're going to have preliminary budget hearings. And so these are open to the public. Really important that you come to be part of this. We stream it online. Pay attention to what you hear departments talking about some of their needs are too, because they're directly engaging with constituents every day in delivering services. So they have a good pulse about what their needs are. We also had to fight to get public comment to be part of this, because typically it's just department heads talking and then us asking questions. But you as members of the public didn't have a venue to actually come make your voice heard in that. And so that was a real big fight for us the last 2 years. But now at the beginning of each of these sessions, it's a 3-day period for the preliminary hearings. You now get to start the day off with your comments. So we invite you to come, and I have that later in the presentation too. So that'll happen. We get a proposed budget in August. There'll be another round of hearings on the proposed budget, and then we adopt the budget in September. The new fiscal year, as I said, starts October 1st. So let's talk about those hearings. So the preliminary budget hearings start Monday, May 11th and go through Wednesday, May 13th. They're at 9 a.m. at the Historic County Courthouse located at 401 Jackson Street in Richmond. These are all day affairs. We recess for lunch. And I think what we talked about is trying to ask if they can also add public comment at the beginning when we come back for recess too. So those folks who can't come in the morning because you got work, if you can come on your lunch break and then make public comment there, we want to make sure you have that opportunity. So again, that's good. So you can go on, you do have to register, sign up to speak, or you can come in person the day of, 15 minutes before the start of the session. You have to sign up no later than 15 minutes before the start of the session in order to be recognized for public comment. I think, to go and just attend and be a fly on the wall and listen, no, just come, show up. Yeah. You don't have to sign up for that. You don't have to RSVP. So that's the process. And this is how you can keep in touch with us. We have one more of these sessions. If you want to come back because you think about something you want to contribute, or you want to bring some friends who weren't able to be here, we have our last People's Budget Town Hall meeting this coming Monday at 6 o'clock at the club at New Territory. So over in New Territory at their clubhouse, we'll be meeting there at 6 o'clock. Come back out again. We'd love to have you participate. And again, invite. We need as much feedback as we can get. So I'll talk a little bit about some of those other projects. I think there was a comment about air monitoring. So you might be aware that we did start a contract to do exactly that. That's been something we've heard consistently. So myself and Commissioner Prestige partnered with our Health and Human Services Department in partnership with UT Health. And so we have a mobile unit that's going to be going and getting a point in time, some point in time data on the quality of air throughout the county. And then we're talking about purchasing now, and our precinct has been working on purchasing air monitors to affix to some of our public buildings, permanent air monitors. So we have ongoing, because part of it is too, and I recognize this, we cared for my grandpa for a while. He just passed away last year, but he suffered from COPD. And so having access to data, I recognize how important that was, because he shouldn't be outside when air quality isn't great, because that affects his ability to even breathe. So having that data at fingertips is also very important. I will also mention workforce development. I heard economic development. That's a key. to make our county more affordable. I think it's like 87% of our property tax revenue, property tax value comes from residential property, homeowners, multifamily developments. And the rest comes from commercial or industrial property. In healthy economies, it should be more 50-50 share between residential property tax base and commercial property tax base. And so to help incentivize that and promote that, myself and Commissioner Andy Myers are part of an Industrial Development Opportunities Committee to see how we can bring more industry here, because when it's skewed the way that it is that way, that means that you and I shoulder more of the burden of funding our roads, bridges, parks, all of those other services. So we've been working on that, working on how to bring new businesses. Workforce development has been key. We are next month, in a few weeks, I think like 2 weeks, breaking ground on a vocational education center at our juvenile probation facility. Again, talk about crime prevention, investing in programs is important. So when those children are in our care, in our juvenile detention, we said, hey, we need to give them real skills so that when they leave, they are making better choices in their life. So we're partnering with Texas State Technical College, Wharton County Junior College, where they can actually start certifications for HVAC or cosmetology or sound engineering. And then when they leave us, their time in detention, they continue on their pathway for certification so that they get a certification, get a real job, making real money, so that they can be more productive in our community. So we'll be doing that. And we also have specialty courts that help to that end as well. So I think those are main things. We have those keep in touch cards you should have gotten. If you have a need, if you see a pothole, you see a stop sign that needs to be replaced, please take a picture of it, scan the QR code and report it to us. And we'll have someone take a look at it. If the county's not responsible for it, we'll try to figure out who is and pass that along to them. We are trying to start a 311 system. That has been really important because you should not have to get a master's in municipal government to get something solved in your community. You shouldn't, right? And it's been real keen for us. We're the young folks in the room, and we don't believe you should have to pick up a telephone and call somebody to get an answer. So we said, figure out who to call to get an answer. So we said, let's create a countywide 311 system. So myself and Commissioner Morales from Precinct 1 are on the committee trying to figure out how to bring a 311 system to Fort Bend County. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. And these are initiatives that are funded through our county tax dollars. So that's part of the budget conversation. So that's all I've got. I'll stick around if you have other questions or things you want to talk about with the team. I want to thank you so much for participating with us and bringing your feedback. And again, I'm going to hang out. Oh, there's another slide. Oh, okay. And this is how you can stay in touch with us. I'm going to hang out. Oh, I didn't mention. Yeah. Annual Earth Day event. Sorry, I'm just talking. Come April 18th, come out, join us 9 a.m. at the Four Corners Park. We'd love to have you there. A lot of community vendors will be there. Animal services will be there. Please come adopt a dog or a cat. We could use your help in clearing our shelters. Find your forever animal member of your family there too. We'll have those adult tricycles out there. Come hop on one. They're a lot of fun. I've done it too. I actually got Commissioner Myers. He's like 84. I got him on one too. So really, really important. Please do come out. All right. I think that's it. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you.